Musk says doomed humanity will never reach Mars if Harris becomes president. Trump promises immigrants he wants to deport will get serial numbers. Mark Robinson decries lies about porn site posts, then says they possibly happened, and Trump withdraws support. Musk says doomed humanity will never reach Mars if Harris becomes president. Trump promises immigrants he wants to deport will get serial numbers. Mark Robinson decries lies about porn site posts, then says they possibly happened, and Trump withdraws support. GOP pulls funding from Black Nazi Mark Robinson. Trump threatens John Deere with 200% tariffs if production moves to Mexico. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump told to stay away in Ohio newspaper. Janet Jackson fired manager who apologized for her Kamala Harris race comments. Manager claims.
TikTok removes Russian state media outlets RT and Sputnik, citing covert influence operations. Telegram will now hand over your phone number and IP if you're a criminal suspect. Kaspersky deletes itself, installs Ultra AV antivirus without warning. 2 months ago, Kaspersky will shutter U.S. operations after software is banned by Commerce Department, citing risk.
Relations with Russia should be reconsidered after war in Ukraine, Macron says. Zelensky arrives in U.S. to discuss Ukraine's victory plan with Biden. Trump tells to Ukraine's president. Zelensky is greatest salesman, wants Democrats to win.
Northrop Grumman and Lithuania to partner on ammo production for IFVs, the infantry fighting vehicles, as Lithuania partners with Northrop Grumman to produce medium-caliber ammunition. New satellite images reveal failed launch of Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile used by Putin for intimidation, as Russia's test launch of ICBM, known as Satan II, appears to have failed. Zelensky says Trump doesn't know how to end war, and Vance is too radical.
A court in Argentina orders the arrest of Venezuela's president and his right-hand man, as Argentine justice ordered the immediate arrest of Nicolas Maduro and Diosdado Cabello for serious crimes in Venezuela. Singapore former Minister Iswaran convicted, prosecution asks for 6 to 7 months jail, as hearing adjourns to October 3. Iswaran's lawyers seek 8 weeks. Tanzania's opposition leader Tundu Lissu arrested at his home, ahead of planned protests. New centre-right government in France announced 2 months after divisive elections. In the US, Republican Congress Speaker Mike Johnson axes Trump-backed bill, linked to proof of citizenship for new voters.
Janet Jackson reportedly apologizes to Kamala Harris, blames misinformation for comments. Recently, Janet Jackson echoes false claims that Kamala Harris is not black. Trump and Harris consider 60 Minutes interviews that would air on same day, claimed in a report. 2 days ago, Trump says it's too late after Harris agrees to October 23 debate on CNN. Conservatives may have to create a new party after the GOP became corrupted by Trump, Liz Cheney suggests. Trump says he doesn't see himself running in 2028 if he loses in November.
Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey to host virtual event targeting battleground states. Harris says, if somebody breaks into my house, they're getting shot during event with Oprah. Teamsters Union says won't endorse Harris or Trump in U.S. election. CNN reports that North Carolina governor candidate Mark Robinson declared himself Black Nazi on porn site, and Mark Robinson vows to stay in NC governor's race following report he made inflammatory comments on a porn site. Trump-backed governor candidate denies Black Nazi post.
EU court confirms Qualcomm's antitrust fine, with minor reduction. Apple gets EU warning to open iOS to third-party connected devices, as EU Commission demands Apple to align interoperability with digital competition rules. Brazil threatens X with $900,000 daily fine for circumventing ban. It has been reported that X bypasses Brazil ban though software update. 23andMe faces Nasdaq delisting after its entire board resigns. Chipmaker Qualcomm lays off hundreds of workers in San Diego. Elon Musk officially moves X headquarters from California to Texas.
Iranian hackers sent stolen Trump campaign info to Biden campaign associates, FBI says. Microsoft executive warns of election meddling in final 48 hours. FTC staff report finds large social media and video streaming companies have engaged in vast surveillance of users with lax privacy controls and inadequate safeguards for kids and teens.
20 killed, 450 wounded as Lebanon hit by second wave of Hezbollah device explosions. After blasts, Lebanon bans walkie-talkies and pagers from flights leaving Beirut. IDF hits more than 100 loaded Hezbollah launchers in series of major Lebanon strikes. As Israel attacks southern Lebanon, Hezbollah launches rockets at Israel. Nasrallah says device blasts could be seen as declaration of war, vows vengeance, and Nasrallah vows Israel will not be able to return residents to their homes in the north.
Ammunition from India enters Ukraine, raising Russian ire. Wall Street Journal reports that Putin is under pressure to call up more troops for war of attrition. With an evil axis, JP Morgan CEO issues stark economic warning over Russia, Iran, North Korea, as Jamie Dimon says an evil axis of countries are his top concern for the next 100 years.
Widespread adoption fraud separated generations of Korean children from their families, AP finds. More than 3/4 of U.S. states have enacted laws to guide use of opioid litigation proceeds. Alaska man charged with threatening to assassinate 6 Supreme Court justices.
Federal Reserve signals end to inflation fight with a sizable half-point rate cut as Fed slashes interest rates by a half point, an aggressive start to its first easing campaign in 4 years. In the U.S., Federal Reserve forecasts lowering rates by another half point before the year is out. Wall Street soars to records as Dow leaps 500 in a rate cut rally that swept the world. The Fed has poured rocket fuel on the red-hot AI trade.
Delta faces U.S. investigation after flight passengers report bloody ears and noses. IBM quietly axing thousands of jobs, source says. Trump floats long-shot proposal for 10% cap on credit card rates.
3,200 years old ancient Egyptian barracks contains sword inscribed with Ramesses II. Eyelash magnate Seidel Miller's art collection estimated to bring around $200 million at Sotheby's.
Reportedly, The Penguin is a violent Batman spin-off that deserves to sit next to The Sopranos in HBO's crime drama pantheon, as the Penguin's showrunner on creating a Gotham show where you don't miss the Batman. X launches the beta version of its YouTube TV competitor. OceanGate wanted Titan sub-pilots to dive to Titanic after just 1 day's training, whistleblower reveals. FDIC unveils rule forcing banks to keep fintech customer data in aftermath of Synapse debacle. 3 months ago it had been reported as, Synapse bankruptcy trustee says $85 million of customer savings is missing in fintech meltdown. And last month it has been reported as, Synapse's collapse has frozen nearly $160 million from fintech users. FTX auditor fined $2 million by SEC to settle negligence allegations. Pew Research announced more Americans, especially young adults, are regularly getting news on TikTok. Discord launches end-to-end encrypted voice and video chats.
Days of tribal violence in Papua New Guinea leave more than 35 people dead, police say. 2 former fire chiefs in New York City arrested in corruption scandal. Former Trump chief of staff loses bid to move Arizona election subversion case to federal court.
Sam Altman leaves OpenAI board safety and security committee. Microsoft announces $60 billion buyback, raises dividend by 10%. Runway debuts API allowing enterprises to build apps, products atop its realistic video AI model, and AI video rivalry intensifies as Luma announces Dream Machine API hours after Runway. Apparent camouflaged Tesla robotaxi prototype sighted at Warner Bros. Burbank. Nevada agencies eye artificial intelligence to speed jobless claims, DMV queries. Lucid shows off Gravity SUV with Tesla Port and teases a cheaper midsize EV.
4 prominent columnists quit Jewish Chronicle over Gaza stories based on fabrications. Pope says, war in Gaza is too much. No steps taken for peace.
Russia expels 6 British diplomats amid spat over long-range weapons, as Putin warns NATO risks war over Ukraine long-range missiles. Russia expels UK diplomats it accuses of spying. US express growing concerns over rumored Iran and Russia nuclear agreement, questioning nuclear secrets for ballistic missiles. Elon Musk's XAI accused of worsening Memphis smog with unauthorized gas turbines at data center. In the US, job rate for women in tech stubbornly low for 2 decades, study finds.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt modder restores secret ending scrapped by CD Projekt. Elden Ring Update 1.14 makes Shadow of the Erdtree's final boss easier, as part of significant balance changes. Underwater mountain discovered is 2 miles high and home to flying spaghetti monsters.
Biden targets Shine, Temu with new rules to curb alleged abuse of U.S. trade loophole. In the UK, millions of Vodafone and 3 customers could see their bills rise, officials warn. White House officials signal delay in U.S. steel takeover decision. Ukraine was first to implement drone swarm technology and attack more than 200 targets in Russia in year, as announced by Defense Minister Umerov. Ukrainian troops detect 12,000 targets weekly with help of AI, announced by Ukraine's defense ministry. Iran's president says, "We have never approved of Russian aggression against Ukrainian territory," as Iranian president says his country doesn't support Moscow as Tehran allegedly transfers ballistic missiles to Russia.
In the UK, royals costing taxpayer more than £500 million, new report says. Pew Research announces that Brazilians mostly optimistic about country's global standing ahead of G20 summit. Trump unveils $100 coins with his face on them after selling Bibles, sneakers.
Iranian president says he does not want war with Israel, as Iran's president accuses Israel of seeking wider Mideast war and laying traps to lead Iran into it. Iraqi factions say ready to back Hezbollah in war with Israel. U.S. to send more troops after Israeli strikes kill nearly 500 in Lebanon. Netanyahu tells Lebanese to flee.
Syria's Bashar Assad appoints new cabinet with former foreign minister as new VP. Egypt delivers more weapons to Somalia amid rising tensions with Ethiopia. In Malaysia, viral video linked to Borneo secessionists sparks police investigation, as police investigating viral video of Malaysian flag being lowered in Australia. IDF spokesman Haggari said, "Every house we attacked in Lebanon contained Hezbollah weapons." Hezbollah responds as Israeli raids kill 558. Netanyahu vows to change balance of power, with Hezbollah as Israel unleashes heaviest strikes on Lebanon. Iran's guards banned communications devices after strike on Hezbollah, security officials say.
Law enforcement dismantles phishing platform iServer, used for unlocking stolen phones. Hacker behind Snowflake customer data breaches remains active. Interim NYPD commissioner says federal authorities seized materials from his homes, as feds execute search warrant on new NYPD commissioner just over a week after he was appointed. Hezbollah hits back with rockets, as it declares an open-ended battle with Israel. Israel raids and shuts down Al Jazeera's bureau in West Bank, while live on air.
Jewish Israeli charged with plotting assassinations of Netanyahu and key officials for Iran. Reportedly, Telegram channel of Didu Secrets shut down, shortly after publication of Israeli Ministry of Justice leak. Leaked documents reveal Israel's strategy to avoid U.S. foreign lobbying law, claimed in a report. 1 month ago, Hartz commented as, after Iran steals sensitive Israeli data, Israel tries to censor the internet. 1 month ago it has been reported as Iranian operatives have been posing as Israelis to try to recruit them, Shin Bet says.
Ukrainian parliament renames 327 towns to break away from the Soviet heritage. CERN prepares to expel Russian scientists, but won't completely cut ties. Study claims low cognitive ability intensifies the link between social media use and anti-immigrant attitudes.
U.S. officials concede Gaza ceasefire out of reach for Biden. UN General Assembly overwhelmingly adopts historic text demanding Israel end its unlawful presence, policies in occupied Palestinian territory within 1 year. Israel offers to end war. Let Sinwar leave if all hostages freed at once. Gaza disarmed. Dutch prosecutors say man arrested after fatal stabbing is suspected of a terrorist motive. Major jihadist attack in Mali's capital killed more than 70, security source says.
Cuban president invited to next BRICS summit in Russia. Pakistan joins major Eurasian transport corridor passing through Uzbekistan, as Pakistan has joined the development of a new international transport corridor through Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan to Indian Ocean ports. Departing NATO chief warns U.S. against isolationism.
The Guardian reports as former Trump advisors helped to grow pro-Russia website that spreads misinformation. Russians at War finally shows in Toronto as a stand against that abuse, against those threats that forced TIFF to halt screenings. Kremlin promotes Putin globally on YouTube. It blocks in Russia.
Biden's arms transfers to Israel under internal investigation. Haaretz reports as an Israeli student worked for Iranian intelligence.
Trump is safe after apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf course, FBI says. Biden on Trump shooting incident said, "There is no place for political violence." Suspected gunman in apparent Trump assassination attempt said he was willing to fight and die in Ukraine.
U.S. hits Russian state media with sanctions for raising money for Moscow's troops in Ukraine. In the U.S., Treasury targets Venezuelan officials aligned with Nicolas Maduro in response to electoral fraud, as U.S. imposes sanctions on 16 Venezuelan officials linked to Maduro.
Most Canadians want fewer immigrants in 2025, as per Nano's survey. Student accused of terror plot in New York raised no red flags upon entry into Canada. Records show, 2 weeks ago, a Pakistani national charged for plotting terrorist attack in New York City in support of ISIS. Canada to cut study permits for international students by 35%.
Nigel Farage to give up ownership of Reform UK. In Germany, 1 in 3 from police force reports racist comments from colleagues. Right-wing members of European Parliament unite to recognise González as Venezuelan president, weakening cordon sanitaire.
China rams Philippine ship while 60 minutes on board. It has been commented as South China Sea tensions could draw U.S. in. Respected mathematician Kenji Fukaya leaves U.S. to teach at China's Tsinghua University. Malaysia's king to seek funds for high-speed rail on China visit, sources say.
In Brazil, federal police will investigate who used X after blocking. Maurice finds X 5 million Brazilian reals for trick that circumvented social media block in Brazil. X indicates lawyers, and Maurice gives the social network 24 hours to prove legal representation in Brazil.
Judge extends temporary restraining order against Biden's student debt forgiveness plan. 2 weeks ago, Republican-led U.S. states sue over new Biden student debt relief plan. In the U.S., Johnson under pressure after U.S. Congress fails to pass Republican funding plan, and Trump pushes shutdown. 2 days ago, Congress Republicans torpedoes Speaker Johnson's funding bill. In the U.S., Senator Warren says vote on marijuana banking bill could happen this year, blames Republicans for lack of progress. As reportedly, senators push to pass cannabis banking bill after marijuana rescheduling. Secret Service report details communication failures preceding July assassination attempt on Trump. House unanimously votes to boost Secret Service protection for presidential and VP candidates.
Trump says that if he loses, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with it. Harris could win the presidency but lose the Senate, giving Republicans a veto over her agenda and judges. Scientific American magazine's comments as, "Vote for Kamala Harris to support science, health and the environment."
New York City sheriff under investigation. As Adams' inner circle faces federal probes, Elon Musk steps up political giving with six-figure donation to U.S. Congress Republicans. U.S. Congress passes bill, blocking Biden administration's attempt to require 2/3 of new cars to be electric within years.
Labeling Trump's lies as disputed on X makes supporters believe them more, study finds. The most surprising new gun owners are U.S. liberals. Democratic senators urge FCC to pass AI political ads proposal, and broadcasters, cable companies urge FCC to nix the AI disclosure proposal.
Harris soars to record 6 points lead over Trump in post-debate poll. In the U.S., presidential campaigns and allies plan $500 million in TV and radio ads. U.S. judges warned of election year risks of foreign hacking.
Palm Beach asks for help after spending $93,000 a day to protect Trump. Trump's media company owes more stock to deal architect, judge rules. J.D. Vance got a former professor to delete a blog post Vance wrote in 2012 attacking GOP over anti-immigrant rhetoric. Suspected Trump gunman was once charged with possession of a weapon of mass destruction, and man who appeared intent on killing Trump wrote a book urging Iran to assassinate the former president. Elon Musk's Biden and Kamala wouldn't even try to assassinate anyone post gets 34 million views, then Musk deletes it as a joke. U.S. Secret Service says it is aware of Musk post about Biden, Harris. Change.org announces a declaration of Elon Musk as a national security risk to the United States. Trump blames Biden and Harris rhetoric for latest assassination attempt, says he will save the country.
Leaked Supreme Court memos reveal John Roberts' role in shielding Trump from prosecution. France's Breton resigns as EU commissioner, in public clash with Ursula von der Leyen, and France nominates Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné for EU Commission. Vivek Ramaswamy to host multi-part roundtable series on Fox Nation streaming service.
Donald Trump loses Electric Avenue legal battle with Eddie Grant. Jury could be convened over compensation from former president. RFK Jr. says he faces federal investigation for beheading whale. J.D. Vance defends false claims against Haitians, says, "If I have to create stories, that's what I'm going to do," as J.D. Vance admits he is willing to create stories to get media attention. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine says baseless claims about Haitian immigrants are garbage. Harris pledges to rein in degree requirements for federal jobs. Trump pledges largest deportation in U.S. history, starting in Ohio and Colorado. Pope Francis criticizes Trump and Harris, and says voters must choose between lesser of two evils. It just exploded. Springfield woman claims she never meant to spark false rumors about Haitians, in the U.S.
Reuters reports Amazon Walmart's Flipkart breached India antitrust laws. Investigation finds. Brazil judge withdraws $3.3 million from Musk's Starlink and X to pay for social media fines, and Brazil's Supreme Court unfreezes assets of Elon Musk's Starlink, X after taking fines. DJT shares soar, as Trump says, "I'm not selling stake."
Former FTX executive Caroline Ellison faces sentencing. SBF's neurodivergence saw him misinterpreted at trial, doctors argue. OpenAI news account on X compromised, sends crypto posts. AI-related cryptos lead altcoin surge. Bitcoin breakout nears with several catalysts in Q4, announced by analyst. Signum unit receives Liechtenstein license as a crypto asset service provider. Harris says her White House will invest in America's future, which includes digital assets, as Harris vows to aid AI, crypto sectors and pitch to NYC donors.
JP Morgan's Onyx blockchain used for Siemens digital commercial paper settlement. Canada shifts focus from CBDCs to payments landscape. Spanish rights group Ejida introduces alternative financing tool Sigo Creative at the 72nd San Sebastian Festival.
German authorities shut down 47 crypto exchanges for money laundering links. In Germany, Commerzbank partners with Deutsche Börse Crypto Finance to offer crypto trading to corporate clients. Crypto exchange BingX hacked. On-chain data shows over $43 million drained. SEC drops Ethereum 2.0 investigation, and court dismisses consensus lawsuit. 3 months ago, SEC charges Consensus Software for unregistered offers and sales of securities through its MetaMask staking service. 5 months ago, crypto firm Consensus sues U.S. SEC over Ethereum regulation. SEC seeks extension till February 2025 to produce documents in Coinbase case.
JP Morgan, UBS join BIS. Bank for International Settlements blockchain-based plan to overhaul cross-border payments. Harvard students and alumni launch groundbreaking native Bitcoin blockchain project at Harvard Innovation Labs to tackle global debt crisis. Elon Musk didn't show up for testimony in a probe over his $44 billion Twitter takeover. Now the SEC wants sanctions.
BTC Puzzle 66 was solved recently, then stolen by bots. Revolut prepares for 2025 India launch. Apple Pay now integrates with Affirm on iOS 18 following Apple Pay later discontinuation.
Guarding crypto is a lucrative business and Wall Street wants in. USDC Issuer Circle announces HQ move to New York ahead of IPO.
Sam Bankman-Fried seeks new trial, blaming federal judge for ridiculing him. In the U.S., elections bets go live on Kalsha after CFTC's court loss. Recently, Wall Street regulator CFTC moves to ban election betting, escalating fight over new market. MicroStrategy stock pops 8% after company UPS Bitcoin holdings to $14.6 billion. Royal Canadian Navy requires its first new submarine to be delivered by the mid-2030s, as current Victoria-class submarine fleet is scheduled to be decommissioned then. Mainland China's Norinco unveils drone that can reach Taiwan and may outperform U.S. rival. Pentagon to spend $500 million on women's health research.
Ford patents drug detection system to protect consumers from planted drugs. China's car dealers struggle with $20 billion in losses amid price war. Make Chinese cars in Russia. Industry group urges manufacturers as import costs mount. In the UK, Rachel Reeves sets apart Labour's fiscal approach from the Tories and signals more borrowing. EU pledges to loan Ukraine up to $39 billion to help rebuild its economy and power grid. Major banks commit to triple global nuclear capacity by 2050.
Japan destroyer inadvertently entered China waters. Captain sacked. Russian warship fired at Norwegian fishing boat. As small Norwegian fishing boat confronted Russian warship during live shooting exercise. China threatens to detonate the relationship if Milei Ai criticizes them at the UN. People's Bank of China will soon cut reserve requirement ratio by 50 base points as China rolls out sweeping stimulus measures to buoy sagging economy. China's yuan gains ground after rate cuts, exporters' U.S. dollar exodus. FT comments as it's no longer glorious to get rich in China, it's dangerous. Commerzbank, Unicredit shares fall as Germany plans to keep 12% stake. Olaf Scholz says Germany opposes a Commerzbank takeover as Unicredit boosts its stake in Commerzbank, applies to own up to 29.9% of the German bank. USA's Department of Justice to sue Visa over debit card market monopoly, Bloomberg News reports. Citigroup's China expansion plan delayed by U.S. regulators.
U.S. targets China's rare earths dominance with Mineral Security Finance Network. India's finished steel imports from China hit 7 years high in April through August, data shows. Samsung plans to invest $1.8 billion more in Vietnam for OLED manufacturing.
China's Leapmotor and Stellantis open orders in Europe for budget EVs, and Stellantis begins search for new CEO, lays out plan to improve U.S. business. SpaceX disputes $633,000 FAA fine, citing systematic challenges with agency. WordPress co-creator Matt Mullenweg calls WP Engine a cancer to WordPress and urges community to switch providers.
NORAD detects 4 Russian military aircraft near Alaska after U.S. Army recently deployed soldiers to area. Reportedly, U.S. seeks control of Russian S-400s in exchange for Turkey's return to F-35 program, as Turkey nears deal to decommission S-400 air defenses and return to F-35 fighter program, claimed in reports. Russia will not resume nuclear test unless U.S. does, as announced by Deputy FM.
The Guardian reports, as revealed, Russia anticipated Kursk incursion months in advance, seized papers show. Russia redeploys 40,000 troops to Kursk Oblast as Kiev's incursion continues, Zelensky says. Ukraine reportedly uses triple-loaded Neptune missile to strike Russian ammunition depot into a region. North Korean missiles ICBMs, air defenses destroyed in Russia blast, claimed in the report. EU Parliament passes resolution to remove all restrictions on Ukraine's strikes in Russia.
Ukraine's gun-armed ground robot just cleared a Russian trench in Kursk. Army picks 2 companies to get small drones to brigade combat teams, as U.S. Army embraces Ukraine-style warfare, with new all-drone unit. U.S. deploys soldiers, rocket systems to Alaska Island as Russian military activity ramps up in region.
Ukraine joins NATO drone countermeasures exercise for first time ever. Romania asks Ukraine to shoot down Russian drones breaching Romanian airspace. 2 weeks ago, NATO members Romania, Latvia accuse Russia of violating airspace with military drones. Putin says Russia is ramping up drone production tenfold.
In Canada, Loblaws launches for-profit food bank. In Argentina, government responds to Aerolíneas union strikes with a sell-off threat. South Korea's local governments embrace the 4-day workweek.
The electronics company Sharp wants to sell cars, as Sharp and Foxconn's EV prototype shows new way of vehicle design. 2025 Jeep Wrangler V6 goes manual only, Gladiator goes hybrid. Ford boss warns Chinese EVs are an existential threat.
Forced and child labor abuses found in 75% of lithium battery supply chains. It had been reported recently in Germany as Volkswagen could apparently lay off up to 30,000 employees, and Volkswagen denies report that it is mulling 30,000 job cuts. Redwood Materials